Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaming Lounge Podcast, episode 67. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and as always, I'm joined by Dory on this 3-day weekend. How are you doing?
Well, Seb, my lost soul aside, my Gears of War are helping my Metal Gear stay very solid. Delta. Damn it, it doesn't work. But it's very close. And yes, have I been thinking about that opening for the past 2 days? No, I've not, and you can't prove otherwise. It's been an incredibly action-packed end of August for anybody into gaming. I just wrapped up camp, and now I have a week off because I'm going to go take a trip to Philly. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really glad camp's done just because it's very stressful. I love it a lot, but it's very stressful. And going back to what I normally do throughout the year after school. So that'll be good. And I'm really excited for the Philly trip. I'm gonna go see some AEW shows because they're down there in the old ECW arena. So I'm excited to go check that out. Really gonna be really hot crowds. But yeah, we're gonna talk about a lot of games. Not the games that you think we'd talk about. We'll talk about Lost Soul Aside and Metal Gear next week. Just because I haven't had time to beat it. Seb hasn't even had time to play it. Lucky you. And I haven't had time to play Metal Gear. So we'll talk about that next week. Instead, we're going to talk about some RE rumors, some of which I knew about, some of which I didn't. That sound exciting. The Mix had a fall game showcase, even though it's not September, and even if it was like a month from now, it would only be barely the fall. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some spotlights. So we're going to highlight some indie games from 2025, like Afterlove, Herdling, Karma, and then Seb will take us home with Gears of War Reloaded, which I really wanted to play with Kim, but PC does not have couch co-op, and I'm very bitter about it. So that was a bummer. So, but yeah, lots of cool stuff to talk about.
So, Resident Evil had a bunch of rumors and a bunch of updates for Requiem. But we'll start with Resident Evil Requiem. So, Requiem, first of all, has a giant stalker enemy, as we know. Apparently, in Capcom's offices, they nickname it Big Mama. And the director confirmed that it's not Lisa Trevor. So he just shut that down. It is not Lisa Trevor. The reason why the enemy has the same sound effects as Lisa Trevor is just because they use placeholders when they do sound design, so for trailers and stuff. All the interviews they did with all the media outlets, they also said they wanted to return the story more to Umbrella and Raccoon City and all that stuff. If you played the modern Resident Evil games outside the remakes, the actual storyline in the future of 5, 6, 7, 8. There's the million organizations now, all with their own viruses. There's all these secret organizations. It got very convoluted. Once Umbrella shut down, all these terrorist groups jumped in, and the story got pretty convoluted. So it's good. It's a good move on their part to try to go back to Umbrella and Raccoon City, because the storyline definitely needs to be a little cleaned up a bit. They said zombies are going to be the main enemies in this game, which is the first time in a long time. Yeah, we've had zombies in the remakes of 2 and 3, but we have not had a zombie as the main enemy in a mainline game in quite a while. So that's good news to hear. I'm not even including like the Revelation games. I mean like a full-on numbered game. We have not had a zombie since what, Code Veronica? So that's a long time. Unless I'm missing something, but I don't think so. Because Resident Evil 4, yeah, no. It had to get on those. So they also said monsters are a big focus in this game. So there's a large spectrum of enemies in this game apparently, and there's gonna be several callbacks to previous enemies, and they're trying to make them the scariest versions of them. Dory, what do you think the enemies are gonna be, and what does that excite you, or what does that do for you?
Yeah, I don't have too much of an idea of like what they would do or who would they, because they're already bringing zombies back. So I don't know, maybe they do like the whiteheads and all that, or the ones that could run, those different versions.
Yeah, I think they could bring Crimson Heads back, because we haven't seen those since the remake of the original game. And they never did it again. Lickers always a go-to. Lickers are iconic, and hunters. We haven't had a hunter in a mainline game in a while, so I can see that. Uh, there's all different types of enemies they can do that were all in Raccoon City in each game. Yeah, so I think I'm glad to hear that zombies are the main enemies still, and I'm curious how they're gonna do that as a in this setting. I probably it's probably gonna be like Resident Evil 2 remake, where like they're bullet sponges for better or worse, and the zombies in Resident Evil 2 were very intimidating because they took a lot to kill, and they can when you had a number of them, it was really tough. The game was not designed for a huge crowd of zombies, while like Resident Evil 3 remake, zombies were like nothing, and they were pretty easy to kill. All right,
Yay.
yeah, so they chose Alyssa because they wanted someone who investigated the cover up of Raccoon City and was apparently silenced for getting close to the hidden truth, is what they said in the interview. Grace is picking up the torch to find the truth of the murder, so she's investigating. And they wanted this to be the scariest game in the franchise, and they said it's going to be very similar, very close to Resident Evil 7. Of course, the Big Mama enemy, the Stalker enemy, is going to be similar to Jack, how he worked in Resident Evil 7. Big Mama stands out from other enemies ever in the franchise. Like way she looks. I haven't seen an enemy like that. She looks something like something you would see in like Little Nightmares or something like that. And then Koshi Nakanishi, he was the director of Resident Evil 7, and he is confirmed to be the director of Requiem. So this game is going to be very similar to Resident Evil 7 in the scares and how they're going to present, everything. And that excites me because Resident Evil 7 brought back the franchise. It saved it. And I think Resident Evil 7 is like one of the greatest horror games ever made for the first 2 acts, and then it falls up. I think it falls apart in the ship section.
Yeah, the ship part and the mine part. I was just about to say, I hope they bring a lot of stuff back from 7, but they don't try to copy the ship or
Yeah.
or even the mine to a certain extent.
Yeah, so this game has a lot of potential to be one of the best games in the franchise if they just avoid the third act of Resident Evil 7 and do the first 2 acts of Resident Evil 7. Because even with a weak Act 3, I think Resident Evil 7 is still one of the strongest games in the series. And I would still say Resident Evil 7 is the scariest Resident Evil game. Because I don't think Resident Evil in general is scary. I mean, I'm a horror fan, so like I'm used to horror. I don't really get scared of horror games. But I would say 7 is the scariest overall. Do you agree with that?
It definitely made me the most scared, apart from maybe a certain section
Yeah.
in 8, but generally speaking, I think 7 was probably more scary to me overall.
Yeah, I think 7 was going for the more like, that YouTube indie vibe where like people play like those first person horror games and that you have to go investigate and there's found footage and all that. It was definitely going for that vibe, and I think it did a great job. It was one of the it's like probably the most AAA version of that genre that I can think of, because that genre is very dominated by indies. Resident Evil 7 was probably the number 1 AAA game in that genre. All right. They said that the real game is actually way, way scarier than the demo. So they left all the good stuff for the actual game, and there's a big focus on a player's emotion. They said there's a lot of emotions in this game. There's a major roller coaster. There's going to be scariness and sadness and happiness and all that stuff. So it's going to be people are going to feel really different emotions. And they said there's a lot of weapons in this game. So we'll see what that means. Grace doesn't seem like someone that's going to use weapons a lot. So hint, hint. We're probably going to see a character like Leon. Hint, hint. Because why would there be a lot of weapons in the game? Grace does not strike me as a Chris Redfield type, or like Carlos or something. And they said Resident Evil 7 and 8 were a duology of Ethan's story, which concluded. And this is a new chapter for the franchise. This is going to move the story forward. So we're finally moving along. Not Resident Evil 8, the DLC with Shadow of Rose jumped like way in the future. But this one's actually going to stay closer to the timeline. And they said this game was not meant to be on the 30th anniversary of the series, but it just ended up that way in development. And then the director confirmed that Chris is not in this game. So he definitely confirmed Chris Redfield is not in this game. And then finally, Dusk Golem. Like I said, people have very mixed opinions about this person. Insists that Leon is definitely in this game. Like, he 100% is putting his credibility on it that Leon is in this game, and they're gonna advertise Leon at some point probably at Tokyo Game Show, that he's gonna be in the game. So he's gonna be the other playable character next to Grace. So there's gonna be two playable characters. It's gonna be Grace and Leon. Dory, how do you feel about Leon being in the game? Do you think Leon's actually in the game, or do you think that's just BS?
Yeah, absolutely I do. I think that, like you said, it doesn't make any sense for her to be using a bunch of guns. She seems very unsure of herself. Alyssa doesn't seem like the type to casually be wielding a rocket launcher at the end of the game. I'm not saying it's impossible to happen, but it just seems way more likely that they bring back Leon. And even them saying like, oh, well, Chris isn't in the game. I don't know about that. I mean, Chris was heavily featured in 8, so it feels weird for him to suddenly be dropped. Although I know Resident Evil is kind of a, a bit of a, I don't know, I don't want to say isolated series, but often like different games can have different characters and stuff like that, right? So it's not chronological. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think
But
there's like different events going on at different times. So like Leon's dealing with a world-ending virus while Chris is dealing with another world-ending virus in another country at the same time.
right.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, I'm that doesn't convince me of Chris not being in there. But I mean, obviously that could be the case. I think the fact that they haven't even mentioned Leon is pretty telling. And yeah, I just don't see Alyssa casually using, a submachine gun and just picking off zombies.
Yeah, I think I mean the director said Chris is not in the game, so I think that's pretty much it. But I think it's okay to shelve Chris right now because he was in 8 and he had a big focus, 7 and 8, and he had his moments and he's what he's doing and all that. So I think Chris doing his own thing right now is totally fine because we haven't seen Leon canonically in a long time. Like, I know it feels weird to say that because we've gotten Leon as the star of Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 4 remake, but in terms of the actual mainline timeline, we have not seen we have not seen mainline Leon since Resident Evil 6, and that was 2012. So I think Leon being in this game makes a lot of sense because we have not seen Leon in a long time. So he's gonna be like near 50 now. So we'll see what he looks like. I'd imagine. Someone mentioned this on Twitter, and it makes a lot of sense to me. They've been focusing a lot on hair physics, and you just know they've been dying to do Leon's hair physics. It just makes too much sense. So his perfect bangs, they're gonna look great in Resident Evil Requiem. All right, that pretty much it for Resident Evil 9. Is there anything else you want to talk about about Requiem or?
No, I'm looking forward to the game. It's one of my most highly anticipated for next year. So I hope it's great.
Yeah, if it was not for GTA 6, it would be my most anticipated game of next year. Unless Kingdom Hearts 4 decided to come out next year. Even then, I don't know, it's kind of a tie. All right, some other news. Now, these are not really news. This is more like a rumor. So major grain of salt. I'm preface that saying that it is not confirmed in any way. This is all just someone on Twitter saying this. And I said, I think Guscom usually gets it right, or he's mostly good. So I actually tend to believe him more than not believing him. But that doesn't mean I just straight up believe everything he says. First thing he said was that Code Veronica is ahead of its internal schedule. So Code Veronica is doing extremely well. From my understanding, the people that made Resident Evil 4 Remake and Resident Evil 2 Remake are doing Code Veronica remakes, which is a really, really good sign because Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 Remake are fantastic games. Resident Evil 2 Remake was my game of the year in 2019, and Resident Evil 4 Remake is on par, if not better, than the original, which is crazy to say. And so I'm really excited for that. And apparently Resident Evil 0 Remake got delayed recently after a dev reboot late last year. And he thinks that Code Veronica is most likely to come out before Resident Evil 0. So does that excite you at all that Code Veronica is being directed by people that did 2 and 4? And how are you feeling about this game? Are you excited for it, or are you just interested in it, or?
I mean, I'm interested. I never played Code Veronica as a kid. It's not one of the ones I ever had any experience with. So I can't say like I'm excited but I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that it's ahead of its internal schedule if the rumors are true here. And I just don't have a lot of experience or background, with a lot of the side games of Resident Evil. I know, the main ones, 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Yeah.
but and
But-
5,
Yeah.
and of course I played 7, 8, and 9. I don't think there's anything between 5 and 7, pretty sure. And
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you mean like numbered wise? Oh, you mean like six?
Yeah, I was
Oh, six, six, six. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
you.
I
I
was
got
making a
you.
joke.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. I haven't played it either way, but yeah, I'm excited for the fact that they are remaking other Resident Evil games that aren't as easily accessible and may not hold up as well. I hope they keep a lot of the same tones that those fans really appreciated about it, and we'll see. I'm not over the moon about it, but I am certainly interested. And if it's good, and they'll probably ditch a lot of the old school movement and tank controls and shit like that. And
Guaranteed.
yeah, so I'll be a lot more interested as a result. That's one of the reasons I never went back to it, or never played it.
Yeah, Code Veronica is one of my favorite Resident Evil games. I think it's in my top 5. But I understand why people don't like Code Veronica because it basically has 2 playthroughs in one. There's a player A and player B. Player A, if they do everything right, the game is significantly easier and you pretty much get through the game fine. Player B doesn't save their fire arrows, makes the wrong decisions, goes on the wrong path. They have no ammo left. They get soft locked. They have to play the whole game over again. So that game really depends on what path you take, unfortunately. And that some people really love that game and people really hate that game because of that. But I think Code Veronica overall, story wise, is mostly good. I think there's some things they got to explain how they're going to handle in 2025. Obviously, with the Alfred cross-dressing as his sister, there's a whole thing with that. And Steve being a pervert in Code Veronica doesn't age well. He tries to kiss Claire while she's sleeping. Things like that. In the Dark Side Chronicles, he checks out her ass. Things like he's a teenage boy. They said Duscalm said this, that Steve's still gonna have a crush on Claire, and but he's gonna be more innocent in this one. They're gonna tone down him being a bit of a pervert. He'll be more abrasive. He's gonna be overtly curious, and he's not gonna have a good understanding of personal boundaries. So I don't think it's gonna be like a creepy pervert way. I think it's gonna be more of like he doesn't know better. He's naive, kind of teenager in a way. Not that Claire is like way older than him or anything. She's like early 20s. He's like 19, so it's not like a high school adult relationship either. But they gotta explain how they're gonna do the Alfred cross dressing thing and all that. It's not meant to be like anything political. It's more just like it's just that he's twisted. He's trying to protect his sister's identity, like to keep it a secret that she's exists and things like that. But there is like a personality disorder with that. Dory,
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think generally that trope of like having cross dressing mixed with mental health issues stems from the horror movie Psycho, right? And came from that, and
Yeah.
was popularized also by, uh, you know, the Hannibal Lecter movie as well, Silence of the Lambs. Uh, it's definitely not one of my favorite tropes as somebody who, being trans and being a cross dresser are different things, but they're often conflated in media and they're often portrayed in negative, derisive ways. So I hope they just scrap it entirely, or they can go the Final Fantasy route and they can just completely embrace it and say that this isn't bad or good. It's just something that happens, right? With Cloud, of course. So they could go, either way. I don't know that I trust Capcom to really handle that, but so I'd rather them just scrap it, honestly, because I don't really think it brings that much. But yeah, well, I guess we'll find out what they do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, the game came out in 2000, so it's 25 years old. All right. What about the Steve thing? You think it's a good? You definitely think it's a good idea that they're toning down that stuff too.
Yeah, I mean they did the same thing with Luis in Resident Evil 4, and I found him a lot more likable in the remake than in the new
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good call.
Yeah, because if you don't know Steve, because you haven't played Code Veronica, in the Resident Evil fandom, Steve is like the Jar Jar Binks of Resident Evil. People really hate Steve. Like Steve is really sad. Like his story is pretty sad and it's tragic what happened to his family and things like that. And there's some really sad moments in that game with him and everything, but it gets overshadowed by his bad voice acting and his really awful lines and him being a pervert. It's meant to be more of like a teenager just having a crush on someone, but the way it's portrayed does not age well at all. So hopefully they fix Steve because Steve is a major character in the game. He is the second character basically. So yeah, Wesker is going to have a bigger part in this game because of the HCF, which is a private operation and that rivals Umbrella, and it's ran by Wesker. It's his like big secret organization. We only see them vaguely in Code Veronica. They're like they're like zombies wearing like soldier outfits. There's a big secret storyline to Wesker like that happens behind the scenes in all the games, and they kind of never really do anything with it. After 5, Wesker dies in the volcano, and they never really explain like what was he up to and what was he doing, and like I guess everything was just building up to him doing the Ouroboros thing in 5, but there's just a big gap that they can fill in with this remake. So I'm curious about that. And apparently Wesker's fight at the end with Chris, which is to me is one of the most iconic scenes in Resident Evil, is a boss fight now. So they're gonna make that a boss fight. You never really get a human on human boss fight in Resident Evil besides Krauser and Leon, right? Like there's not really many actual human on human boss fights in Resident Evil. And apparently Chris is no longer gonna fight Alexia as the final boss, which probably means it's gonna be Claire, and Chris is probably gonna be fighting Wesker or something. I don't know. We'll see how they do it. But the big thing I got out of this though was that apparently Rockford Island, the setting of Code Veronica, is an semi-open world game, and that Claire's gonna have her motorcycle that she repairs early, and she's gonna be able to drive around the island, which is pretty cool. I'm curious how that would work. Is it gonna be like Days Gone kind of thing? I just hope it's not too big where it feels like overly bloated and it's a bunch of wasteland and stuff, or is it gonna be or is it gonna be like super linear and it's like why is this even in this game in the first place? It's just a point. It's just like a waypoint thing, not waypoint, like a fast travel thing, and you kind of just go from point A to point B. Is it just you know what I mean? So we'll see. Um, it could be done right? Like when I think of like Silent Hill 2 remake, I wouldn't call Silent Hill 2 remake an open world game, but it had like just enough of an open map to explore different rooms and areas and stuff. What do you think about this, Dory?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it because I don't really know the topography of the original and how that would translate to a semi-open world.
It really does.
It's also
it really doesn't, to be honest with you.
yeah. Yeah, so like I said, my lack of experience with Code Veronica is really coloring kind of my perception here. That makes me a little nervous because I just don't feel like Resident Evil in general doesn't really need that. And the older games that weren't even built for that probably don't need it. But I mean, I'll stay cautious. I'm not going to outright say it won't work.
Yeah, I mean, Rockford Island setting is mostly like a prison, so it's like a lot of linear hallways and prison cells and things like that. So there's courtyards. There's not really a lot of open sections. But I imagine like there's gonna be streets you can travel. Like there's no town or village you visit at all. So I don't know really where they're getting the open world section from. So we'll see. It might. From what I'm hearing, this all sounds like good changes to me, and this excites me a lot. So yeah, I know this was a longer news topic, but like this is like our only news topic pretty much outside the showcase. So I wanted to hit on it. It was a lot of Resident Evil news randomly just happened this week, so I just wanted to hit on all that. And the franchise is as healthy as it's been. It's been a really good spot. We're getting Resident Evil games every 2 to 3 years. And I don't think that's going to change, because after Requiem next year, we'll probably get Code Veronica remake like 2 years later. Or 1 year later, so we'll see. Alright, let's move on to the Mixed Fall Game Showcase, which, as I mentioned, is called the Fall Showcase, even though it's August. But whatever. this showcase is basically an indie showcase. There's no AAA games. We just had Gamescom, so why would there be? But there was a good amount of games I wanted to talk about. We're gonna some of them we're gonna fly through relatively fast. Others we'll have more of a discussion about. Let's start with Silly X Poly Beast, and the description on Steam says it's an otherworldly, story-driven shooter with aggressive gunfights and terrifying monsters awaits you. This is the story of a girl, by the will of fate, faced the beast, and in order to become free, she was forced to study its nature. How far can you go in the fight for your freedom? Dory, what did you think of this game? Because you had it on your list.
Yeah. First off, love the kind of grim, uh, red dyed execution of the aesthetic. It's very creepy. It's got these very weird looking bosses. Love the top down combat. That looks really cool. It's from Top Hat Studio. They've done some other stuff. I feel like that I've played before.
They did
Uh,
they did the Crypt Custodian, which is a good game if you ever
right.
played that. That's the only one I know that's like a big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at their bestsellers, and that's the only one I recognize. They did publish
Labyrinth.
or release Labyrinth of the Demon King, but I think
Yeah.
I don't think that one got great ratings. I'm
No,
still getting over a cold, sorry.
well
But
that
yeah, this
is
sorry, go ahead.
that's they got very positive on Steam actually. Apparently.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I thought it had mixed, but maybe that was just something else
maybe.
that I saw.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, this looks really cool.
Absolutely. I think it looks really fun. This is actually the very first game they showed, and I was like, "Oh, if this is what we're gonna see, then this is gonna be a good show." And I was right. I think it looks really fun, as Dory mentioned. I like the camera angles. I like the style. I love it has an anime style, but it also feels like Little Nightmares. But also has like a top-down fight view as well. There's like a mix of genres. I think it looks badass.
Wasn't there also like she can ride a skateboard or some shit too?
Yeah, let me pull. I'm looking at the Steam like
I am as
pictures.
well. I don't see it on Steam,
Yeah,
but
let me look it up on YouTube. That way.
yeah.
All right. So there's like a first person view when she's like holding a knife, and then there's like dialogue, and then she's skateboarding. Yeah, she's doing skateboard tricks.
Yeah. So that's
I,
pretty awesome.
now it's not like a skateboard game where it's like you're like doing tricks and stuff. It's more like linear, like you're on a path. It's like on rails, but it was still cool, and it's coming out this fall. So definitely check that game out. I think that there's definitely a game I'm keep my eye on. Let's say October, November. Probably an October game, if the way everything else is going. All right, next game, Hank Drowning on Dry Land. Let me pull up on Steam.
So this one is labeled as an immersive sim, interactive fiction, and action adventure.
And you got, and hold on. Yeah, and it says,
You've also
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Think Batman, but always drunk and he can time travel. Sink into Hank's comic book world and escape the Unraveler's trap. Play a dangerous time bending co op with your past self. So, what appealed? What about this game appealed to you?
Well, I mean, I love the comic book s style of it.
Yeah.
I loved how wacky and off the wall it looked.
Yes.
Um, I don't mind a puzzle game as long as the puzzles aren't ridiculously tough. And this looks like it wouldn't be that hard. I don't know if the co-op is forced or not, like if you have to do co-op or not. That wasn't clear to me in the trailer, but I also didn't look at the Steam until now. But yeah, just love the art style, love the concept. It looks really cool.
Yeah, this is the one I'm more on the fence on. I think the concept and the way the visuals are and the comic book aesthetic are really badass and awesome. But I just don't know what kind of game it's gonna be totally yet. I need to see some gameplay. Because it's giving me also some puzzle vibes with time travel and things like that. I don't really like that kind of gameplay typically. So I'll keep my eye on it. That Steam's genre tags are not really telling me much. It says immersive sim, so I don't know what that really means. And it says interactive fiction. Isn't all video games interactive fiction? And then action adventure. So yeah, we'll see. Definitely keep an eye on it. It says coming soon, So we'll see what that means. Probably next year. Safe bet. Anything else you want to say about it before we move on?
Nope.
All right, let's go to Rebounder. Now, Rebounder on Steam says Rebounder is a precision platformer set in a 4-ink pulp print world. Grab, throw, bounce through an off-world worksite with trick shot ricochets and fast retries. May induce speedrunning mania. So this is one of the games I was surprised was on your list because this is very not you.
I knew you were gonna say this.
Yeah,
So
Super Meat Boy. Yeah,
again, I really love the art style. I thought it looked really nice. You know me, I'm not big on platformers,
yeah,
but I really did enjoy Shotgun Cop
Cop.
Man,
Yeah,
and then this gave me Shotgun Cop Man vibes
yeah,
in some ways. But you know, just because I have it on my list doesn't mean I'm gonna play it.
gotcha. Yeah, that's similar to me. This is usually not my kind of game. I don't like super hard 2D platformers like this. I love platformers, but it has to be a very specific one. Like I love 3D platformers and I love certain 2D platformers. Like The Messenger I really like, but that was like an exception to the rule. I usually not into these retro look and really
It
super
does.
difficult ones that you retry 1,000 times.
It says tough but fun, TUFF.
Yeah.
Quick levels, fast respawns, unlimited attempts, built to make you feel like a platforming champ with layers of optional challenges as you improve. Challenging, not punishing. So maybe
Yeah.
not Super Meat Boy levels, but I don't know.
Mm,
We'll see.
yeah. I think the biggest thing that drew me in was the retro look, the visuals.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I put on my wish list just to see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. So the second game in a row about what a comic book vibe. Now, the next game, Yuka Replayly, is more my speed in terms of platformers. I never really got to play the original fully, even though like I love Banjo Kazooie and we don't get games like this anymore. But I don't know. I know the original game got mixed reviews and people didn't love it as much as they were hoping. So hopefully this fixes it. If there was any issues with, I don't remember like what the issues were and all that, but I just hope that this is better. Because why would they remake a game that wasn't amazing and not beloved and not that old? I suppose this is definitely something I'm gonna get. I think it's coming out in October. I think the release date is not great because there's just too many games around it for me to pick it up and play it right now. But it's something I will play when it's on sale in the future. And Dory, I'm assuming you don't have any interest in this, even though you like Banjo.
No, I mean I have interest in them bringing back Banjo Kazooie. I don't really have interest in this. I don't know. It also just didn't get super strong reviews at the time, and it just didn't wow me with what I saw. I'm not like I'm not saying I'll never play the game, but
Yeah,
I'm not like rushing to do it either. There's so many games out there.
yeah. I mean, I'll probably get it, and you can try it out. If you don't like it, you can just drop it. All right, Rue Valley, which is both on our list as well. Now, Rue Valley is the first game on the list that's extremely Dory, and it says
It's extremely me and extremely disco. It's a
yes,
disco like.
yeah, because if Zao is not the same, Zaum is not the same anymore, then we have to get the other. You know, are these former? I mean, are there any devs that made
No,
Disco other
it's
than?
not related. As far as I'm aware, it is not related to Zaum at all.
Okay,
It is just an independent studio that wants to make a game similar to Disco Elysium. As far as I'm aware, the developer, Emotion Spark Studio, is not related to Zaum or any of the people who have been released,
yeah,
fired. But
yeah, yeah.
I don't know that for a fact. But that's as far as I know.
Because the only games they have made is Pathfinder: Wrath of Righteous Enhanced Edition, which I don't even. I think they just helped with it, and Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trip. This is like basically their first full game.
Yes.
But it comes out November 11th. It's a narrative RPG about a man trapped in a time loop surrounded by a colorful cast with complex emotional stories. Oh, this is so Dory coded. Each hiding unexpected secrets. Dealing with mental challenges, the main character must rise from the depths, delving in the anomaly to uncover its enigmatic origins. Dory,
There
why?
you go.
What
There
about
goes
this
Xena.
game? What about this game appeals to you? All right, I guess I could start if you need to handle that. But yeah, I think I'm interested because I think the story is gonna be really strong, and the characters are gonna be strong. The writing looks like it's gonna be really good. It scratches that Disco Elysium itch that I've been missing because Disco Elysium came out 4 years ago, and it's only a game like it, really. I mean, there's a lot of narrative games that have a lot of writing and stuff, but like Disco Elysium is one of a kind, and this game's even half as good as Disco Elysium. Then we're in for a treat. And it's,
Yeah, I talked about it before, but some of the lead writers behind Disco Elysium themselves played an extended demo or the demo that's available on Steam. I'm not sure which, and said they loved it. So, I mean, if that doesn't speak volumes about how good this game could be,
yeah,
I'm very excited. I played a demo too. I liked it a lot. I'm excited to see what happens.
yeah. So this game has potential to be the best indie game of the year. I would say. Would you
Yeah.
say that
Uh,
potentially?
yeah, I would say it has that potential because it's modeled after one of the best games of all time. So if they, like you said, if they can even get a fraction of that
Yeah,
kind of stored up in their game, I think that they could absolutely have an indie game of the year contender right here.
yeah. Because I think Disco Elysium is the greatest indie game of all time. I don't think that's a bold statement either. I think that's objectively a lot of people would agree with that. All right, moving on. This is where the list starts really breaking. Our list start breaking in two different paths because most of this list is mine. Cosmic Holidays. I don't know what to make of it, but it looked like a really cool platformer with this unique character, and the world design was really fun to look at. I think that's what stood out to me was just the world design. It was an interesting world, very colorful, a lot of things going on around. If this game was like a nice 2 to 3 hour platform experience, I'll be really into it. I hope it's not like a 40-hour Metrovania. So that's really my only concern for it. Yeah, it does look like a lot of games that we've seen, but it had like a different mechanic where like the character's head can like expand and stuff. So like to like bounce off a rock of its head, and yeah, I like I said, I just hope it's more of more of a platformer than a full Metroidvania. So do you know what game I'm talking about? Like, do you what about it?
I know what game you're talking about. Yeah,
Did not
I
why
thought it
did
looked
yeah why did it not appeal to you? But put it rather.
I thought it looked cute, but there just wasn't enough on the bone to like really excite me.
Yeah,
I'm also very mixed on platformers as a general genre, but I did love the aesthetic and the artwork,
yeah,
but there just wasn't enough gameplay to really sell me on it. It just looked like a lot of like platforming in a beautiful world, but that just
yeah,
doesn't really do much for me. Like I tried Planet of Lana and it bored me, so
yeah. I can see
um,
that. This is I guess this is a French game. Developers are French. Which
luckily no other award-winning games have come out this year from France, so they should be fine.
yeah. All right, next game is Rat Scum. Ooh, why did they open a tab? All right, Rat Scum, which is says fallen into the sewer, a lone rat embarks on the long journey of returning home in an estranged, crumbling apartment. Navigate forgotten corners and unfamiliar spaces, befriend unlikely allies, and slip through dangerous and shadows in the cracks of a broken world. So this game is hand drawn, and that's what it says on Steam, and it's very story driven, very atmospheric. This is definitely a this is like a side scroller. Let me pull it up on YouTube. The genres on Steam are really bad. People need to do better with these tags. Um, I think this game would appeal to you because it feels more not only a platformer. It's like mostly walking, and is very narrative focus. So this does feel like more like
Yeah,
your speed, I would
I
say.
I was on the fence about this. It kind of gave me some Secrets of Nim vibes.
I can see that.
If you remember that.
Yeah,
And I like the art style and I like that there's some dialogue choices. I just again it's another case of like I just didn't see enough gameplay that super grabbed me to put it on
mm,
my list.
yeah,
There's also some stealth mechanics, but I mean, I don't inherently dislike stealth, right? There's some stealth games that I love. I played the Splinter Cell trilogy. Obviously, it's not really comparable, but I'm just making a general point. Um, excuse me. So I don't know. I just didn't see enough to really grab me here.
Yeah, I think the art style of this game is doing major heavy lifting. I think, like,
Yeah.
I feel like the gameplay in this game is probably not going to be great, and the style is going to keep it from being bad. I think it. I think if it's a nice couple, I think it's a couple hour game, nice cheap couple hour indie experience. I think it'd be good. So I hope it's that, and it probably will be. So I'll probably enjoy it. It probably won't be anything groundbreaking for me, but I'll probably enjoy it. So definitely a wish list for me. So yeah. All right. Next game on our list is Moomin Troll Winter's Warmth, which is a game that I could see being on your list, but you didn't have it on your list. But it says it's from the creators of Snufkin Melody of Moomin Valley comes a heartwarming new adventures inspired by the beloved Moomin stories by Tove Jansson. This time, join Moomin Troll himself on a charming but cold winter journey. It looks like a very narrative game. Steam says it's point and click, which I really enjoy point and click games. I just like the art style. I enjoy point and click games. Give me a simple story, fun story, interesting story that's like, short, maybe 4 to 5 hours. I would probably enjoy it. Why wasn't this on your list, Dory?
I'm gonna sound like a fucking broken record,
Same thing.
but I just didn't see enough here that really drew me in,
Yeah.
and grabbed me and made me want to put it on my list. I also don't have a lot of attachment to Moomin Troll as like a property or an IP, so I didn't. I saw it and I was like, oh, it's that weird looking white horse thing that's I think Swedish or something, and it's like vaguely popular, and I'm aware of it on some service level, but it
Yeah.
just didn't. I just don't really care. I guess is the meanest way I could put it. I'm also very mixed about point and click games. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. I almost always have to play them with a guide just because my brain just doesn't work with point and click games often.
Yeah.
But this one's probably more accessible than that because it's Moomin Troll and they're probably trying to get a younger audience. So
Yeah.
yeah, it says it's story driven, third person top down adventure, environmental puzzles. So I don't know. It just doesn't really appeal to me. I just didn't find it that interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. There's not a lot going on. Like I said, if it gives me like the Dordogne vibes, then I'll be happy. Like a nice 2 hour experience.
Dordogne.
Dordogne, whatever. Yeah, I can never pronounce that one. I think if it captures that nice charm, 2 hours, I'll be happy. I'm not. I have no connection to the character though. I know it's like a Finnish series that's
Finnish.
popular.
That's right, not Swedish. Finnish.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't really know much about the character. I just thought it looked nice. Again, big trend with this show is the art styles were carrying the heavy load for these games. All right, One Way Home, which is a game I'm very surprised it's on Dory's list because it's so me coded and very anti Dory. But why was it on your list?
Yeah, so I really I liked the general aesthetic, and one thing that caught me by surprise for a game entitled One Way Home, apparently that's not true. There are multiple ways home. Because each playthrough is unique, the choices you make affect the types of skills and locations, the story's progression, and its ending. And that plus really digging the aesthetic, I really liked it. Yes, it is very, Seb coded. It's very Inside and Limbo. But look, I don't hate Inside or Limbo. I think they're good or okay or whatever. So if it can do what they did but better and more engaging, and it has some narrative parts to it, I at least it's
Yeah.
like had some interest from it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's Inside or Limbo. I would say it's more Little Nightmares esque, or like that game Bramble. Remember that one? It
Yeah,
plays it
sure.
plays it plays more like that because it's like more 3D and you go up and down and stuff. So I did you like Bramble? I don't remember.
I did like Bramble. I thought it was a pretty good game.
Yeah, then you might like this one. I think it's probably gonna be like that, where you die a lot and then you just go back and stuff like that. The whole thing,
Right.
everything about it looks cool. The aesthetic, the main character is interesting. Let me just read the description on Steam. It says, take on the role of 12-year-old boy in this puzzle platformer. About those two words, anti-Dory. um,
Yes.
about the journey home through the most terrifying of nightmares. Each playthrough is unique. The choices you make affect the types of skills and locations, the story's progression, and its ending. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Hopefully it comes out this year. There's a whole there's like 40 minutes of gameplay on this game. They've shown a lot of this game already. So if you're interested in it, check it out because it's like full
Plus,
on,
there's a demo too.
and there's a demo. So there's so much to see of this game. You'll know if you like it or not. All right, Broken Lore on Follow. This is the game where I really could not figure out what the heck the title was, and I had to like look it up. It was very frustrating. I'm like, what the hell is the title? Because it changed the trailer. They showed like 5 different words at the same time. I'm like, and then they just cut to another game really fast. And I was so confused. But it is a first-person psychological horror game that explores the impact social media has on mental health through the story of Anne, a victim of bullying trapped in a surreal nightmare where she must solve a dark mystery and confront sinister creatures. Now, this wasn't on your list, Dory, but like from the description, I can see that appealing to you if the gameplay is pretty good. But they really
You know what it
didn't
is?
show much.
I'm gonna completely admit that this is a very petty reason to not be interested in a game.
Yeah.
I can't take a game or any piece of entertainment seriously that has the word unfollow in the title. Now, I'm going to admit that's very petty and it's very childish of me. I don't care. I think it's stupid. There's a horror movie also called Unfriend or Unfollow. I think it got surprisingly good reviews, and I'm like, I'm never going to watch it because I just can't walk up to someone and say, hey, did you see this horror movie called Unfriended or whatever, or Unfollowed? I get left out of the building, and rightly so. So, look, again, it's a very stupid reason. And yes, there are definitely parts of this game that would appeal to me, but selfishly, I just can't get into a game that has Unfollow in it. Now, bullying is a real problem, and online social bullying is a real problem. I understand what they're trying to do. I hope it goes well. I hope the not the online social bullying. I hope that doesn't go well. But the game, I hope that goes well and they get their message out and it resonates with people and stops people from doing that, I guess. So I don't know how likely that is, but gets people to reflect on the effects of bullying and stuff. So I think it's an important game with a cool message, but I just can't take the title very seriously. And also, when I looked at the gameplay and the graphics, it just looked kind of cheesy to me. So I don't know. This didn't do it for me at all.
There's even some like pixel moments because they shown plenty of trailers for this game for the last year or so, and there's like a mix of like cinematic gameplay, like very cinematic AAA looking.
Yeah, they got some FMVs too.
Yeah, so it's a big mix of games. It's a very Japanese game, so this is one of those games where it's on my list, but doesn't mean I'm going to play. I'm probably not going to play it, but I have my eye on it. So comes out this year. All right, the next game was a game right after where like I could not figure out what the hell the title was, but it's called Pizza Kid, which is definitely not for Dory, but for me it is because it's a beat 'em up, and it looked like a really fun beat 'em up. It says it's a high impact 2D action beat 'em up set in a gritty sci-fi fantasy world. Battle grotesque monsters, uncover ancient secrets, and unleash martial arts fury in this pixel art brawler inspired by 90s anime, noir comics, and arcade classics like Street Fighter 2, Streets of Rage, and Ninja Warriors. This is so me. It's not even funny. Day one, basically. Day one.
Yeah, this looked really cool, but it's like you said, it's absolutely not for me. But it
Yeah,
looks really cool. I love the title. I love the vibes it's going for. Not
yeah.
for me. But yeah.
I just cannot figure out what the title was. The font they used as the logo in the actual like
Yeah.
trailer. I was like, what game is that? Oh, I didn't know it said pizza, but it's Pizza Kid. So yeah, very excited for it now that I've seen it. The next game that I had on my list was Mexican Ninja, which is it's really funny. I thought it's a frantic, fast-paced beat 'em up. So another beat 'em up, roguelike, full of crass brass and incredibly badass. Okay, I like that. Become the Mexican ninja as you slice your way through the streets of Nuevo Tokyo in this retro 2.5 arcade throwback. So what you waiting for? Show me your skills, pinche ninja. So it's like a if like Mexico and Japan were combined.
It's
Beat
San
'em.
Francisco, except it's Mexico
Yeah.
and Japan.
I thought this game looked really funny. It's a beat 'em up, but it's like a 3D beat 'em up instead of a 2D. This is more me than Dory, but I thought it just looked fun, and that's really what it is. Just like nothing amazing. It's just gonna be a fun laugh, enjoy myself, entertainment for a couple hours. Hopefully, again, it always depends on how long these games are. Like if they overstay their welcome, then they get very tedious and boring. But when they know how long to be, and they're like 2 to 3 hours, beautiful, fun indie experience, perfect Steam Deck game. So, people said in the comments, Mexico 2077. Yeah, I hope the final boss is a Japanese luchador.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's go.
Yeah, so this is not obviously you don't like it because beat 'em ups, but I thought it just looked cool.
Yeah. And to refresh everybody, I grew up playing beat 'em ups. I have a great, love in my heart for the genre. But as I've gotten older and I've figured out, oh, I have a terrible sense of direction and spatiality, I
Yeah,
just generally I struggle a lot. I remember playing Shredder's Revenge, the one that came out a couple years ago. I thought it was good, but every now and then I just completely whiff an attack because I couldn't tell if somebody was this way or this way or this way or this way. And it just bugs the shit out of me. And I just feel like an idiot. And I'm
hmm.
like, I don't want to play games where I feel that dumb that consistently. I already feel like that on a day-to-day basis. I don't need that. Anyway, but it looks awesome. Seriously, I'm really happy that a game like this is coming out. So kudos to the devs.
Absolutely. All right, the next game that was on my list was Broomstick Exorcist, which on Steam it says play as Vika or Vika, an
Probably Vika.
Vika, an insomniac street sweeper who hunts demons at night. Devour the darkness in a night filled with demons in this unique 2D hand drawn manga inspired beat 'em up horror adventure. Man, beat 'em up fan, we eating good right now. This game looked really fun. I thought the art style was very different. That's the last three games we just talked about all had different art styles, despite being the same genre. All of them look very different from each other, and I was into all three of them. And this looks just as good. This looks more like hack and slash than a beat 'em up. I mean, there's definitely beat 'em up elements where like the 2D and like you're like kind of going left or right, but the gameplay was definitely like more like hack and slash. Um, it was kind of reminding me of Hollow Knight's gameplay. I don't. It's not like Metroidvania like Hollow Knight, but it was the way you were dodging the boss fight. Like certain things were falling from the sky, and you'd go left and right, kind of like Mega Man or Hollow Knight or something. Um, any interest in this game? I mean, it wasn't on your list, but was it like on the fence about it or?
No, I wasn't on the fence at all.
Okay. Well,
I was off the fence.
but is there a reason why, or just didn't see enough?
The gameplay didn't seem appealing to me personally. I'm not really into, as we just talked about, the beat 'em up genre is not generally for me. I
Yeah,
like the concept and I like the manga inspired aesthetic, but the gameplay looked kind of boring, honestly. So
it definitely looks a little budget. The hand drawn style definitely looks, even though it's hand drawn, it still kind of looks like not up to par. But it still looks like a fun game. Again, well, I keep saying this, but if it's a nice 2 3 hour beat 'em up experience, I'll probably enjoy it. People wonder how I beat a lot of games. This is how I play a lot of 2 or 3 hour games. All right. All right. So the next game is on Dory's list, and that is Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation, which says it's a intense, fast action retro shooter about a sailor with a shotgun for an arm. With a cartoony, hand-drawn art style and gory gameplay, you'll have to mow down enemies through 8 action-packed locales to take back what's yours. Are you ready to raise anchor? So this reminded me a lot of 90s games, 90s shooters. That's probably what appeals to Dory as well, right?
yep, I grew up playing Quake. I probably played Doom, although I couldn't tell you for
Yeah,
sure.
but this is
And I played a lot of Flash games online that are also
yeah,
probably had some first person shooter
but
stuff.
this game is extremely Duke Nukem, extremely.
Yeah.
Have you played Duke Nukem?
I never played Duke Nukem, thankfully.
Oh, Duke Nukem, the original is really actually really good. I mean, it's a classic. Not so much the newer versions of it, but um, yeah, I know the character doesn't age well though. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually really interested in this one. I think it stood out very well. It looks like a blast to play. I usually don't associate Dory with like shooters, but you play a lot of these fast paced
I
shooters.
play a good amount of shooters,
Yeah,
especially lately. I played the Mad Jack game,
yeah,
and I really loved that. That was excellent. I loved I Am Your Beast. That was a
yeah,
first person shooter. Loved that. So yeah, absolutely. Shooters can be hit or miss with me sometimes,
yeah.
but if you find a good one, man, I'm in my fucking element. I grew up with shooters all the time, so just find me the right one, and I'm there.
Yeah, I wonder if no, I wonder what the point of the game is though. Like, there's like a score, so you just basically just survive waves of enemies. Is what I'm gathering from it. Because
You
it's
know
like a
what it is too? I want to give props to this fucking narrator. I don't know who the hell he is, and I
yeah,
don't know what terrible microphone he's using, but he's about 75% of the reason why I want to play this fucking game. Because if he's the voice of Captain Wayne, I'm really sold on this.
yeah. I think they definitely want to go for the '90s vibe with the sounds because
Yes.
it didn't sound amazing, but yeah,
No.
I think that was intentional.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think that was the point. And yeah,
Yeah,
just the combat looks great. The aesthetics look cool. It just looks really fun. It looks
yeah.
fucking fun. So
Like,
I'm excited. There's a demo. There's an endless demo out right now. So
oh, nice. And he's
yeah.
like collecting shrimp and crabs on the on the
Yeah,
battlefield,
well,
and
he's Captain Wayne. He's gotta be collecting his shit, you know.
yeah, so that's cool.
And you can fucking use a goddamn cannonball. You can literally put a cannonball, strap it to your arm or whatever he's doing, and
Yeah,
just shoot it. And that's awesome.
100%. All right, next game was Slain 2: The Beast Within, which comes out next year. It says it's a brutal gothic hack and slash where steel and savagery collide. As Prince Akron wield the sentient blade Bathorin, embrace your werewolf fury and battle through a dying world. The time for hesitation is over. The quest begins now. Akron's fate and the fate of the kingdom rests in your hands. Now this stood out to me because the art style like is gorgeous. I just love that 2D 3D mix of like the late 90s. I really enjoyed that. You know that Spirit of the Samurai game? You remember that one where it was like it was
Don't remember it.
yeah, I beat it this year. It had like 3D. Remember it had like that stop motion uh like stop motion animation, kind of like Harold Halibut, but like in a 2D setting. You know the Wallace and Gromit kind of style.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the claymation stuff. Yep.
Yeah, so the claymation stuff. So this game is doing that in a 2D setting, just like the Spirit of Samurai game did. But Spirit of Samurai, as much as I enjoyed the animation, definitely had issues because that's art style is not designed for these kind of games, and there's always jank and mistimings, and the hitboxes are off, and that was the problem with the first one, Slain, from my understanding. So I'm definitely very interested in this game, but I hope it's not super hard because I heard the first game is extremely hard, and I don't like 80s retro Ghost and Goblin difficulty. Where I just it's not for me. But I'm very interested in this, and it's on my wish list now. So comes out next year. Any interest at all? I know it's not your list, but
It
anything?
literally has difficult as one of its tags.
Yes, it's probably gonna be difficult.
I don't really think I need to say anything else.
I just love it, the aesthetic of it. So yeah. All right. Next game, which actually comes out relatively soon, if not out already, is Catanot. I think that's how you pronounce it because I think he's an astronaut or something like that. It's in space.
Yeah.
Catanot is a fast-paced action roguelike blending fluid combat and cosmic horror. Slash, dodge, and wield powerful abilities as you battle through a station sprawling with twisted, once human horrors. Adapt, survive, and descend into the shadows to uncover its darkest secrets. This game comes out September 10th, so it was one of the few games that had full-on release date. Uh, there's a lot going on the screen. It looks really fun. Usually not my kind of game, mostly because of the roguelite. I think this is more like if you're a fan of Dead Cells. Do you ever play that, or any interest in those kind of games where it's like it's just a
No,
roguelite?
not usually. No.
Yeah, so that's the same reason for this game. Same reason this game doesn't appeal to you, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um, it looks. I think it's cool to look at. Probably not for me personally. I had it on my list. Keep an eye on it, see how it does, and maybe play it on sale or something. Feels like a really fun Steam Deck game for me. That's the main reason it's on my list, but it's probably one of the games I'm not going to play, to be honest. So, all right. Moving on. Next game on my list is the Angry Video Game Nerd, 8-bit, which if I'm not a big fan of Angry Video Game Nerd anymore. I was a huge fan of him for a long time. Like, I mean a long time. I watched him in middle school. He's still on. Um I think that kind of humor doesn't work for me anymore. So that's what kind of the reason I fell off. The very raunchy scream at your controller.
Yes, I'm well aware. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I was a big fan of Nostalgia Critic and Angry Video Game Nerd because that humor appealed to me when I was like 14. But now, yeah, he's mellowed out. But I think the people around him are really boring and bland, and his content just doesn't hit for me anymore. But the game looks kind of cool. I still like James Ralph enough that I would support his game, and I'm usually not into these kind of games, but I do like Mega Man, and it's something I will definitely check out when it comes out. And it comes out in October, even though it doesn't say it on Steam. It is coming out in October, October 23rd. And yeah, I just think it looks cool. I think it's like a remaster of his game because this game already came out, and he's just redoing it. But yeah, this game is definitely not something you'd be into. I think because the retro
No,
platformer and all.
I didn't really grow up playing these kind of games, or if I did, I didn't enjoy them enough to remember them.
Yeah, so I'm a big enough AVGN fan to just try it out, even though I don't watch him anymore as much. But I thought it looked cool. So, all right, we're almost done with this list. All right, next game was Echo Weaver, which is also on my list, not Dory's. It says it's a time loop Metroid, not Metroidvania, but Metroidbrania, where time is your best resources and secrets are your only upgrades. You're the last of the Weavers, a remnant of a ruined society trapped in a glitching time loop. Explore what remains, uncover the mystery, protect the loop. I like the art style. That's the main thing I like about it. I need to see more gameplay, but I just thought the art style looked cool. Again, it's one of these games where I'm probably not going to get it, but I thought the art style looked cool to me, so I just wanted to put it on the list. Dory, this game is definitely not you at all. So
No.
Metroidvania and puzzles and stuff like that. So yeah. All right, and then the last game is Fallen Fates, which is on your list, and it's on my list as well. It says it's a 2D pixel art fantasy world. Face relentless battles and forge your destiny with vivid companions as you unravel the truth behind the falling crystals. I love the art style. Again, the 2D 3D mix is just killing it right now. That's the vibes I was getting. What was that game? What is that RPG with the two people, the blue and the pink haired person and
Oh, Sea of Stars?
Sea of Stars? That's what this game reminded me of a lot. Not the gameplay, but just the art style.
Sure.
The gameplay reminded me of the Fury. I want to say that kind of like that top transistor. Is that right? Something like
Yeah.
that top down like the enemy does something and you dodge it and there's like projectiles around the area. Why was this game on your list?
Yeah. So I mean, again, similar to you, I loved the art style. I love the 2D pixel fantasy art. I love that it's an action RPG too, although I wouldn't have minded if it was turn-based. I just think it looks really fun to play. The bosses look challenging, but maybe not overwhelming. We don't know a ton about it, and there's a Kickstarter coming, so it still has a long way to go, it looks like.
Yeah.
But it looks cool, and I liked I liked the 2D pixel art, as I said before.
Yeah, the art style is really carried it, but the gameplay did look fun too. So we'll see. I'll keep eye on it. This game feels like it's a while away because it's just not. They got a Kickstarter and everything, so it's probably maybe late next year. I want to say. I think this is a safe bet. But that was a good way to end the show. I think this was the actual last game at the showcase, and I was very happy with it. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. We talked about a lot of games, and we're not going to get all of them. I mean, even all my games on my list, just because it was on my list doesn't mean I'm getting them. But I probably get like half of these. I can see that. And don't worry, all those games you had on your list, I could definitely see you getting. Like those are all definitely very you. So
Yeah.
I thought it was a good show. Well, we don't really need to rate it, but I guess it's like 8 out of 10 for me. Like I was entertained.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid show.
Yeah. So, all right. So that was a long news topics. So now we get into our spotlights. Now the spotlights are probably actually going to be shorter than our news topics because they're relatively.
I'd hope so. That was 40 minutes. Well, just that part was 40 minutes.
Yeah, these are relatively shorter games, I would say. So even Gears of War is not a big game, campaign wise. So let's start with Afterlove EP. So Dory, go ahead. What are the pros of Afterlove EP?
So Afterlove EP is a musical narrative adventure game where you have some romance options as well, and you're following. It takes place, I want to say, Indonesia. Could definitely be wrong about that, but it's absolutely not the U.S. And you find that out pretty fast. And you're playing the role of this character who has recently lost his girlfriend of a couple of years. And so he's going through a lot of grief, and his band is basically broken up. And he goes to them, and we more or less join him a year later when he wants to get the band back together. And there's just a lot of divisions within the band, and he's trying to figure out if he's ready to love again. So, obviously, very me coded. It's got, sad boy energy. It's got, indie music, narrative. The art style is very comic booky, manga inspired, similar to the Broomstick game we talked about earlier. Very, very pretty game, in my opinion. The songs themselves, when you do that, you just press different keys on the keyboard or buttons on your, controller to, just play the songs. And there are different difficulties: easy, normal, and hard. I played on normal. I got a lot of them perfect on normal. So if you're looking for more of a challenge, obviously I'd recommend turning it up, but I didn't because that's not what I was coming to the game for. But that said, all of the songs sounded very good, and I liked all of them. Now, all of them are in another language. Again, I believe it's Indonesian. So it's not in English or anything like that, but the VA, the main VA, which I don't really think it's a spoiler because it's the whole point of the game. But basically, your dead girlfriend is somehow in your head and being like a voice in your head. And that drives a lot of the narrative forward. So, he's the only one who can see her and talk to her and stuff like that. I thought the story was very touching overall, and it touches on some really important themes about letting go and grief. I don't think it does it as well as I'd like, and maybe in some spots, but I think overall it has some very important things to say about trying to move on and be better and taking account for our actions. The writing in general is very, very good. The characters are multi-layered. They feel like individual people. I can tell all of them pretty much from each other. All of the romance options are, well, one of them is like your bandmate's ex, which I immediately, as soon as I realized like what road that was going down, like, oh, she's one of the romance options. Like, fuck that. That's awkward as hell. I would never do that. So I just stayed away from that. But the other two options are interesting. There's also LGBTQ plus representation, which I thought was handled very well, and about how in other countries, in America as well, LGBT people have to deal with a lot of harassment and physical abuse. and the cops are often involved in it. So just a very sad situation that they kind of address. I did like the fact that they had difficulty options for the songs, which I mentioned before, as well as a chance to practice. But what I really loved from the game, and I didn't expect to love this, the main character eventually goes to therapy, which, I mean, pro tip, if you start hearing your dead ex in your head and she's talking to you all the time, you should probably go to therapy. But he does, and I actually really liked these therapy sessions because it felt, as somebody who did go to therapy for around 10 years or so, probably more, off and on throughout my life, they felt very realistic. It felt like the devs definitely researched how a session like that would go, how a therapist approaches that kind of stuff. Lots of questions, lots of "it sounds like to me," or "have you ever thought about it this way?" It's not a lot of well, obviously the answer is, or you're this or you're that. Right? And it's a lot of questioning and making the main character self-reflect on himself and his actions and how they've affected other people and being less selfish, honestly. So, yeah, I those are basically all my pros. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, what is the gameplay like generally?
Yeah, I mean, as I tried to explain it earlier, but basically it's a walk and talk with some, there's not really any puzzle elements, but just going to a place, talking to people, moving the story forward, playing a song.
Like when you say walk and talk, you mean is it top down view and you're walking around talking to people, or is it
No, it's like
or is it just
it's outward.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's not like a point and click or a
No.
Okay, nothing like that.
It's more narrative driven and walking simulator, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I found it pretty engaging in general.
And how long is the game?
I beat it in less than, actually, let me check that. I beat it in 7.5 hours. I think actually it's probably more like 7 hours. I think I paused it a couple times here and there. So I beat it in around 7 hours.
Is that what you doing side content, or is it kind of just streamlined, right to the point?
I definitely developed some relationships that I didn't have to. I think you could beat this game in 6 hours comfortably without speeding through it or whatever.
All right. Now, what's the cons?
So the cons. So I did not feel like the ending was satisfying. It's about grief. It's about moving on. It's about letting go. I felt like the main character didn't do that enough for me. Although thinking about it back, I guess that is kind of how grief works, right? There's always kind of a part of you still holding on. But it just felt underwhelming because of all the, all the things that the main character went through to get to that point, and then just doesn't really let go. So yeah, I'm trying to be vague, but yeah, it wasn't a very satisfying ending for me. My other con, and this is really my only other con, the romance options were not well integrated into the main story. Your romance option never meets they all have cons to them, I think, in a way. One of them feels like a rebound. Another one is your bandmate's ex. And another one, I don't want to give away the other one, but they've got some, some kind of domineering attitudes to them, I guess you'd say. Yeah. They've got a very large personality. Oh, and there's also a bit of an age gap. It's not, the main character's college level, and I would say this person is in their early 30s. So it's not bad, yeah. But it's kind of it feels like they're more in a mentor position than a relationship position. You know what I mean? So, anyway, it just wasn't well integrated into the story. No matter who you date, I'm pretty sure they never meet the band, which is crazy because the whole point of the game is finding love again and, relighting the fire of the band that you left behind. So they don't really mesh those two things. They never talk to your new partner. It just kind of sucks. I think it was a missed opportunity for some really interesting character work and writing that the game otherwise does deliver. So those are my only two big cons. Oh, actually, I did have one other con, and this was just a nitpick. It kind of bothers me because the main character keeps talking out loud to his dead ex, and that's kind of how a lot of the plot moves forward because people are like, "Hey, man, are you okay? What are you doing? Who are you talking to?" And he constantly has to be like, huh? Oh, nothing. And I'm like, man, can you just do this in your fucking head? Like, I don't like. You'd think eventually he would figure it out. Oh, I should respond to her not out loud so I don't look crazy. But he never learns, and that's like the main way that the plot moves forward throughout the video game. So it just kind of, I know, like obviously it's a video game, but it kind of strained credulity to me because I'm like, eventually he would just reply to his, I don't want to keep calling her the dead ex, but I literally don't remember her name. But she, like, just respond to her in your head so your bandmates don't think you're fucking crazy, man. Anyway, that was a nitpick, but it kind of got on my nerves.
Yeah, I don't need questions about the cons because I can't really, because I don't know until I actually play it myself. But it makes sense.
Yep.
So the ending might be subjective too. It might be someone might take it differently.
Yep.
Is that possible?
Absolutely. That was just my opinion, but
Yeah.
overall, I thought this was a really great game. I gave it like 4.25 out of 5.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really great overall. Had a really good time with it. Would recommend it for anybody who loves music, who loves self-reflection,
Yeah.
and who loves a good music game. Maybe you're really itching for
Yeah.
some Guitar Hero. Well, this isn't really that, but maybe you'll get a little bit of that.
Yeah. I also wanted to say that Fellow Traveler Games is definitely becoming one of your favorite publishers because
Yeah, I didn't even know it was developed by them, but I literally joined their Discord at one point because they publish so many games that I really enjoy.
yeah, they did the Citizen Sleeper games. They've done Beacon Pines. They did
Yep.
Thousand Times Resist. They did this game, and now they're doing Wonder Stars.
Yeah, I really love them. They're a great publishing house. They bring out a lot of narrative focused games that I really appreciate.
Yep, and then you got 2 more games coming out as well next year. All right, let's move on to the Herdling, which is an indie game I was playing this week. I got all the achievements on Steam. It is a game where you herd a bunch of calicorns, as they're called. They're basically bison, big buffalo, and you herd them from one place to another through various environments. Some areas are very big plains. Other times you're in a mountain region. Other time you're in a big snow region. It varies, but you're taking them as like a spiritual guide. Like you're playing as a boy, like a teenager, and he's like serving as like the guide of the calicorns. And there's a story, but it's very simple. It's just like he's either like a reincarnation or he's just taking up the mantle of a guide of the calicorns. But there's like a spiritual person that is like always pops up in his like dreams, and at the end, I won't say this. I won't say what happens, but that's really the whole story. It's just like he's just following in the footsteps of a spiritual guide, and that's really the whole game. You're just navigating with these bison, these calicorns to a specific location. The pros. It's a beautiful looking game. It's very paint like. It has a very cool aesthetic. Different environments, as I mentioned. I think the locations look really great. I think one of the best parts of this game is the visuals. I think it looks really pretty for an indie game, especially. Out in the distance, the environment look great. This is one of the prettiest indie games of the year, as well. And I was playing this like like pretty much right after Sword of the Sea. So like I played back to back, chill, beautiful indie games. And as I mentioned, the pros is the gameplay being simple. I think this game is for anyone. I think the controls can be a little finicky. We'll get into that, but for the most part, it's pretty simple, easy to understand, very accessible. If you want to look at a little chill 2-3 hour game, this is the perfect game for you as well. Very minimal HUD. The environment does all the storytelling. As I said, the story is very minimal. There's times where the spiritual guy will show up in his dreams. That's pretty much the whole story. The soundtrack, very simple, but there are emotional elements as well. There's some tense songs in this game when you're getting chased by like the giant birds. There's pretty much nothing to this game besides aiming an arrow at a location, and they just follow your cursor, and they just walk straight. But there are times where you have to stampede, which you walk into the grass, and all the calicorn like light up, and then they can go full speed and stampede through like bushes and stuff. Or like when they're getting chased, you have to aim the arrow at the grass to keep going faster, because your calicorns can die if you're not careful. And that's one of the best parts of this game is that you treat them like your pets, because you can name them, you take care of them, you clean them, you can name them whatever you want. Like you can type in all your friends' names. They're your pets. So if they ever die, you would really feel it. You get attached to them. You actually really do get attached to your like little herd. So that I thought that was a really simple but great concept in this game. None of mine died, so I got the achievement for all of them surviving. I don't think it was that hard to keep them alive. There was just times where you're walking straight and they put like obstacles everywhere. Like they'll put spikes everywhere, and you have to make sure you like tap on the B button on the controller so they stop, and then you have to aim slightly to the right so they walk. And it can be a little tedious with that. But I'll talk about that in my cons. It's a really brief experience. They said I think you'll enjoy it for like 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. I put 6 hours because if you really wanted to like really look at the scenery and things like that, maybe it'll be a little longer. But if you're really streamlining it, which I don't know why you wouldn't, because there's really not much to explore. It's a very linear game. I would say 3 to 4 hours. And there is an accessibility option. There's an immortality mode for the calicorns. If you really can't stand the fact that they can die, you can keep them. There's a mode where they don't die at all, and you can be stress free. So that might not be for everybody. That kind of takes away from the actual gameplay. The game really doesn't have that much gameplay already, so just be mindful of that. All right, Dory, any questions about the pros?
What is the like moment to moment gameplay? Are you like clicking on the calicorns so that they move? Like, are you pushing them? Like, wow, how does it work?
You're just holding a button down and you're aiming the cursor to a certain spot. There's like a little white cursor that shows you a general direction of where they're heading, and you kind of just have to aim left and right with the cursor, and they'll walk in that direction. And then meanwhile, you control the boy, and he can run at times and stuff like that. And you have to smash the B button to tell him to stop, because they might walk into like a hazard and possibly die. So you have to. That's basically the whole game. It's just that there's a cursor that they're following automatically when you hold the button down. So you tell them to go, and they follow that one spot you're telling them to go. And then if you tell them to stop, they'll just sit there and stop. And then there's like certain spots where this happened like I think there's like maybe like 6 checkpoints where like you get to a location, you have to collect 3 pieces of wood. They do this like 5 times, I swear. And you get 3 pieces of wood, you make a fireplace, like a little campfire. They all sit around campfire with you, which is really nice. And then you take a nap, and then you have a dream of the guy, and then you wake up and then you just do the same thing over again. So very simple. All right, anything else?
No, that was my main question. Although, how long did it take you to beat it?
3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
And I never none of mine died. I was pretty streamlined. I pretty much streamlined it. There's no side content or anything. So I think 3 hours is the minimum for everybody. I don't think there's any other way to beat this game faster. Maybe if like you already know what you were doing, you played it again, you could probably do faster than that. But you're probably not gonna play this game again. I don't think. All right, the cons. The cons are that it can drag at times. The pacing can be inconsistent. Like there'll be times where you're just walking nonstop, holding the button down for like 10 minutes, and you're just walking straight. And it's like, can we do something more interesting than this? The gameplay gets definitely a bit repetitive, if not very repetitive at times. Her controls can be annoying to control, especially when there's hazards around. Like if there's spikes and one of them walks into it, they bleed and they get damaged and they can die. There's times where like you're walking on ice and the ice cracks and you have to guide them around the holes, and you're following there's a bunch of AI animals following you, and some animals might walk to the right, and it's a little annoying. It's not a huge problem. Like I think it's still relatively easy to guide them pretty well, but it's definitely a bit tedious. And there's parts of this game, especially the last section, like you're like climbing up a snowy mountain to get to an area, and you have to keep like when the wind blows really strong, you have to tell them to stop, and they'll sit there and brace the snow. But it took so long to get past that section only because they walk so slow in the snow. It made that section was just overly long for no reason. That's what I mean by the pacing issues. It's just some sections don't work for the gameplay because it took so long for them to walk, and it was annoying. Another con I would have. It's not a major one, but it's definitely there. I think all the calicorns look exactly the same. I mean, animals all look the same. Like unless you have like a different breed or something. But like I know animals tend to look the same, but like they could have made the calicorns look fictional animals look different. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're fictional animals. They don't. Other animals don't glow in real life. Yeah, they're definitely. But they might be based on something. I'm gonna assume they're based on bison. It just makes the most sense to me. But um, they don't have like no unique personality or something like that. They don't act like they don't have like their own, like one has a temper, one's sweet. They're all just basically big cows, and you're just guiding them. So I would have been nice if they had like a more personality, because how like you have pets, every pet has their own personality, but not in this game. All right, the only difference between the two of them is that some are small and some are big. I heard there were some technical issues with this game, but I never had any issues. This game ran flawlessly for me. I streamed it off my PC on my Steam Deck, and it was perfect. So overall, this is not really a con, but don't expect anything complex, long, or like a branching story. This is just as the definition of a simple linear game. So everything in this game is just point A, point B. That's the whole game. I would give this game a 7.5 out of 10. So that was a pretty good game. I think it's worth playing if you like these kind of indie games and you want to experience the world, but don't expect anything more than that. Any questions for the cons? Or anything else I said?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Nope. I am that all that stuff makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to it than that. All right, the next game we're gonna spotlight is Karma: The Dark World, which Dory has played and beat. So tell us about the pros and the cons, please.
Sure. So Karma the Dark World is a completely different game than Afterlove EP. I mean, it has some overlap. It's also very narrative focused. You'll be surprised to know. But this one is a horror game, largely influenced by surrealism and the novel 1984 by George Orwell. So if you like David Lynch and you like 1984, boy, do I have a video game for you. It is visually stunning, lots of surrealism, as I already said, inspired by David Lynch and his work, R.I.P. The main gameplay loop is you in this kind of institute that goes into people's brains and figures out why they committed these crimes and how to stop them from doing it. And often just seems to lead to the person dying, at least in my experience in the game. It's a total dystopian nightmare. Everything's very tightly controlled. A lot of the people aren't even people. They're just like robots, basically. So it's pretty messed up. The puzzles often felt balanced. I needed help every now and then, but generally speaking, I was able to figure out the puzzles on my own. The voice acting and writing are both top notch in terms of characterization and dialogue. I'll talk about the larger themes in a second. And then also, no cheap jump scares. The horror is largely psychological and political in nature. So I don't remember there being any jump scares. I could be wrong on that, but there's not many of them anyway. And that's that's pretty much it in terms of the pros. Like, it's pretty simple, but the game itself isn't very simple. Like, there's a lot going on here artistically, aesthetically, symbolically, but I don't want to give any of that away, so I don't want to really talk about it too much. But I mean, it's a very good-looking game that plays nicely. I think, there's some gameplay elements that they try to put in every now and then that are fine, but mostly you're here for the narrative, for the aesthetic, for the visuals, for the narrative, right? For the vocal stuff.
Yeah, I bought this game, and I knew this game was like not so much horror, but like psychological horror, and the visual. It's all about the visual storytelling more than anything else. Like it was all that was like the main selling point of the game, just the way everything looks, the prettiness of it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So the cons. That's all. I don't have any questions.
The cons are pretty brief because I thought this was a really great game overall. I think the game goes a little too hard on the political themes. It's very on the nose. And look, sometimes reality is like this in some ways, but it just felt a little heavy-handed in some ways. I mean, its message isn't bad. It's just that authoritarianism is wrong, which, hot take in 2025, I guess. But it's I don't know. I just feel like they could have done a better job with the messaging in terms of like how subtle they want to be. Maybe they wanted to be, like a sledgehammer. I don't know. But it certainly hits like that. It's very clearly inspired. That's kind of my problem with 1984 too as a book, as I just find it underestimates, and this game does too, underestimates how authoritarian regimes really work. But that's getting us off a field and stuff like that, and we get into the philosophy and stuff. But
Yeah.
political theory is like one of my favorite things.
So they basically look at the camera and just say, they say like dictators are bad. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I mean, basically they're like, this technocratic society isn't good. Everybody, do you notice that? Do you see all the cameras? Do you see all the lifeless husks? All the people desperately crying out for to be rescued. I'm like, yes, in no part of this game did I think, wow, here's a society I want to take vacation to.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like the ending got a little too surreal. I don't understand what the fuck happened by the end. And that's how you know it was kind of inspired by David Lynch, respectfully. I don't know what the hell happened at the end. I'm kind of confused. But so another ending that felt kind of like a letdown, but it wasn't, a different kind of letdown, I guess. I don't really know what to make of it. I was kind of just scratching my head. I was like, looked pretty cool. I guess that's it. Okay. So and the credits hit. I was like, all right, sure. That's an ending. I guess that's a choice that you just made. But yeah, a great game, a really great game. I hope I'm not underselling it at all. I believe this is I could be totally making shit up right now, by the way, but I believe this is their first game. And if it is, what a home run this is for your first game.
Yeah. Let's see. Developer.
Pollard Studio. Oh, I'm totally wrong, aren't I?
Yeah, they have a lot of games, I guess.
They have a lot of games, but I think this is their first actual
They probably
maybe not. They did Martha is Dead. That's fun.
Well, they didn't make that. I think they might have been a support studio, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Like they worked on games, but as like an actual game that they made. Yeah, so the visuals look incredible in this game. Is there any player choice, like the story, or is it just linear and
it's very linear. There's no player choice in terms of your choices affect this or that.
Okay, so no different endings or anything. It's just one.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that's my only question, really.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna play
it. It's my pros and cons are very simple, but don't let that fool you. This game is not simple. In its surrealist tone. I think there's a lot to be said about the game. But again, if I did that, I think I'd be spoiling a lot. And I'd also, we should note also, like Seb said earlier in the podcast, we've been putting off talking about Karma for a while, which is fine. But all that means is that I don't really remember it as well as I would have if we had talked about it the week of, right? So some of the stuff's just fuzzy to me. Plus, it doesn't help the game's incredibly surreal at times. So it's hard to really remember certain parts of it, but it's very striking, very engaging, very interesting.
Okay.
I don't think if I had to put another con, I'd say I don't think the gameplay elements are great, but they're fine. They get the job done and they move you forward, but they're not going to win any awards.
Is it like snobby or condescending? Like, or is it like the political themes? Is it
I
like
don't think so. I think there's enough empathy here for people who struggle with mental health issues, who struggle with work-life balances, who struggle in general with a sense of belonging. That I don't think it comes off as like snooty or anything like that. I do
okay?
think that there's a bit of on the nose political theming and messaging, but the actual messages themselves, I don't think come off as too snobbish or
Yeah,
unrelatable or bad
yeah.
or badly written.
Because sometimes,
It's weird. Yeah.
because sometimes there's games with political themes that like they feel like they gotta be the smartest guy in the room kind of vibe to it. Like,
Yeah. No, that's how fucking Atomic Heart was, right? It they thought they were working with a fucking Harvard degree in poli sci, and I'm like, I'm not sure that you guys graduated middle school actually. So, and I will actually defend that game because I love that game. It's stupid fun, but it's stupid fun that thinks it's got a poli sci major in Harvard and
yeah.
graduated with cum laude.
What was your giveaway? The fridge that tries to like was it a fridge?
The fridge that tries to fuck you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely was part of the giveaway for me, Seb.
Middle school poli sci. All right. Last game of the night is Gears of War Reloaded, our main topic of the night. Gears of War Reloaded came out on Tuesday of this week, and it's a pretty good remaster. It's not great. It's not like a fantastic remaster, but it is worth playing. It's probably the definitive version of Gears of War, I would say. If I was recommending Gears of War to somebody, the first one. This is the game I would get. I think the big story, obviously, is that it's on PlayStation now. Gears of War is a gigantic IP for Xbox. It is one of the big three with Forza and Horizon. Forza and Gears of War is now on PlayStation, so that only leaves Halo to come on as PlayStation. Of course, I got it on Steam. It is also on PC Game Pass if you want to play it. But it is actually, let me get into my pros. So my pros, it's classic Gears of War. I mean, it's the first game. Came out 2006. I was in middle school. I have a lot of memories of this game. It's the top 30 game for me. I still knew it. I haven't played this game in a long time, and I still remembered everything and where to go and what to do. The gameplay is very simple. You got the cover system. You hide behind a wall. The enemies shoot at you. You shoot at them back, and you have the fun executions you can do. You can get the chainsaw gun, and you can chainsaw the enemies. You can stomp on them. Awesome. The gore in this game is awesome. Just be mindful. This game can be difficult, even on normal difficulty, because you die very easily. So there's gonna be times where you just die, but it's not too bad. There's like practically no loading screens in this remaster. There's new weapons. There's Lancer variants. So it doesn't lose its old school vibe, but it also feels a little new at times. The environments look bigger and better, more detailed. The visuals and performances are solid. I think it runs very smooth. I had no performance issues, personally. I think the upgraded textures, the lighting, and looked good. I wasn't like blown away. It wasn't like a Black Myth Wukong situation for me. It still looked like the same game, pretty much. I don't think it looks that much better than the remaster of this game we got in 2015, as well. So it really, in hindsight, I don't not hindsight, but really in reality, this game doesn't really need to exist. I think this game more exists for the PlayStation version more than anything. It's made to make extra money. If you already have this on PC or Xbox 360, this version really doesn't need to exist. I think the main thing is just that they have a PlayStation version now. The multiplayer is still a blast. There's classic modes and the maps, all that stuff. It feels crisp and nostalgic, especially with the crossplay. There's a nice high frame rate on PC, and I don't know how the consoles run. I'm only playing this on PC on my 4080, so be mindful of that. The Horde mode got some fresh tweaks, so it makes it more addictive, and there's new enemy types. And I think it's really good value for like if you've never played Gears before. If I think it's worth $40 if you're gonna play multiplayer a lot and you never played the campaign before. I can't recommend this game for somebody like me. I mean, I'll buy it anyway. I'm a huge Gears fan, but if you're like really familiar with this game, this remaster is lacking. on things. So I would say if you're on PlayStation, this should be day one for you. If you're on PC, well, it's more of a mixed answer. And then if you're at Game Pass, it doesn't really matter anyway. The game basically just balances nostalgia with new tricks, and it will keep longtime fans generally happy. If you feel like this is a lazy remaster, and the new players are probably going to be into it because the gameplay really holds up well. That new players are going to definitely be into it. So I think it's a good start. I think that really what it is for me is it's not so much this game. It's the precedent it's setting that like if this game is successful, then maybe we'll finally get Gears 2 and 3 on PC because Gears 2 and 3 are still locked only on Xbox 360 and or backwards compatible on the Xbox consoles. So it's really annoying. I really hope they remaster 2 and 3 next. So yeah. And also 4. Put 4 on Steam. Gears 5 is on Steam. Why is Gears 4 not on Steam? It's on PC, but it's only on Windows Store. It's not on Steam. So I hope all the Gears games eventually go to Steam. Any questions about the pros, Dory?
No questions.
Okay. So the campaign's not that long. The campaign, I beat it in 8 to 10 hours, something like that. But then again, I'm very familiar with the campaign. I beat this game like 7 times. So it was fun playing this game, getting all the cog tags again. It just took me back to 2006 when I was in middle school. I was playing with my friends co-op. Obviously, this game is made for co-op because the AI in this game is not great, especially in this remaster. I don't know if it was the remaster or if it was always like this. I don't remember the AI being this bad, but it's very possible it was because AI is a lot better nowadays than it was. And AI still has its issues nowadays, but man, there was so much jank in this game. I had characters not move. Dory, have you ever played Gears of War 1? Just so like when I talk about things, you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about. So like the section with the berserker with the thing that like you can't kill it, you have to like run away from it and it breaks down the doors for you and you have to destroy
Yeah.
the Hammer of Dawn.
Yep.
Like the characters would just standing there, and like my partner would just stand there, and he was like walking to the right spot, but like the AI of the berserker kept attacking him, and I was just stun locked. I couldn't do anything because the AI was getting confused with each other because the monster is supposed to be chasing me, and the AI is walking in circles, and it was really annoying. And then there's another example where like the final boss, he got stuck in one spot, and the final boss was like anticlimactic because I beat him super easy because he couldn't move. He got totally stuck. Like there was that kind of stuff.
That's hilarious.
I had like one crash at the final boss too. It was a comedy of errors at times. The AI was not good at all at times. Oh my god, it was so bad. There are some sections of this game that I still think they do not age well, even though I think the game ages well mostly. Like the section where you're with the bats and you're driving the car and you can't drive and shoot the light at the same time. That was really tedious, and you die way too easy. So that was an issue as well. All right, there's parts of this game that don't age well in the sense that like in that era, there was a lot of games where like you walk and talk. You know what I mean? Like you walk in a hallway and then like the person talks to you on the speaker or whatever. Like and like you're just walking through a hallway slowly. This game has tons of that. The dialogue is not fantastic. It's stiff. The pacing of the missions can be consistent. I already talked about the AI. There's some glitches. There's audio cutting out. There's characters getting stuck, like I said, and the bosses were like very simple. I mean, there's really not that many of them, and I found them pretty easy. So overall, as a con, really is that this remastered really doesn't do anything new. There's really no fresh content. There's really no major additions. This is not like. It's not like even people complain about the Last of Us remake, right? The first one. It's like, why does this need to exist? But at the very least, even though that game did nothing for the gameplay, the visuals were like 1,000 times better than the original, right? Like it Last of Us Part 1 looks beautiful. And this game doesn't look that much better overall. So it really doesn't need to exist. I think this game is purely for people who have never played Gears before, or people who haven't played Gears in a long time. But like if you're like familiar with the franchise very well, this is probably not for you. And I think the reviews on Steam pretty much align with that. I think it's mixed or bad. I want to say. Let's see. Yeah, mixed. So it's very. I've heard different, very mixed opinions on this. I still think it's an 8 out of 10 overall because I think the game is good. It's like it's the perfect example of like The Last of Us Part 1, as I mentioned. I think it's like it doesn't need to exist, but I was fine with paying the money and enjoying myself because I'm a big Gears fan, just like I'm a big Last of Us fan. So that's pretty much where I'm at. But it's like Last of Us Part 2 remastered. Did it need to exist? No. Was it to make money? Yes. But did it appeal to a new audience? Yes, it did, right? Because Last of Us Part 2 was on PC. And now Gears of War is now on PlayStation. So, yeah. Any questions about Gears of War? Like, did you want to know or
Yeah,
any
I have a
comments?
question. Where the fuck is the couch co-op for the PC version? Now, apparently somebody told me that the original, not the original, but the original remaster, the Ultimate Edition,
Yeah.
the PC version just wasn't built, the engine or whatever, I don't know. They had some tech issues with having split screen. I wish I had known that ahead of time. I
Yeah.
feel like they didn't say that at all. Online co-op is a thing on PC, but couch co-op isn't. And Kim and I were super excited. I grew up playing this game. Kim grew up playing this game. We both loved it as kids. I was not going to play this game by myself. I tried for about 10, 15 minutes. I got bored. I honestly got bored. I'm like, this feels clunky. It feels janky. It feels old. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying it wasn't. I really wanted a co-op experience because I wanted that whole, and it's supposed to be a co-op experience, right? I mean, it's the developers called the coalition, for fuck's sake, right? That's all about working together. Gears of War is always supposed to be co-op, so it just baffles me that the consoles get the fucking couch co-op. I think that's abysmal. I think that's, and at least if they're gonna do that, make that clear in the marketing, because that wasn't clear to me, and I was paying pretty close attention to the marketing and the reviews and the previews and shit. I never once heard that PC wasn't couch co-op. And I even saw some people online say they did say that it had couch co-op, but it actually doesn't. Which I think again is really shitty. It's such a classic way to play Gears. I don't know why you would lock PC people out of that and restrict it to consoles. I just think that's really shitty and slimy. Now, luckily, I didn't pay for it. It was Game Pass, but Kim was like, "Well, maybe we could split it 20 each," and I'm like, I'm not playing it on PlayStation. I know that's stupid. I know that's stupid, and it's a psychological thing. I just don't want to play it on PlayStation. It feels weird to me, and it's like I would never play Halo on PlayStation, right? I have a PC. I'd rather just play it. I'm already not playing it on Xbox, right? I'm playing it on PC. So it's not even about that. It's just weird, right? And I don't want to spend another $40 for something that I should have. I don't know. It's just very frustrating to me that they didn't make it more clear in their marketing. Because at least if you're not going to do it, make it more clear to the audience. Then I wouldn't have had my hopes up. Then Kim and I wouldn't have been super disappointed because we never play games together, right? Kim has super different gaming interests than I do, which is totally fine. But it just means as a result, we often don't play games together. So we were very excited about this game coming out, being able to do couch co-op, only to find out we fucking couldn't
And then
for no reason.
and
They
then
had 10 years. They
yeah.
had 10 years
Yeah.
to change the engine and make it so that they could fucking do couch co-op on PC. What did they do with that time?
Yeah.
Vaguely increase the graphics.
And then when you guys do play co-op, it almost destroys your marriage, like it takes two, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah, this game is definitely not as great solo. So
Yep.
definitely play this co-op if you can. But yeah, do you have any question about the about anything else or not? That's pretty much it.
No, I just wanted to rant about the couch co-op.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not the greatest remaster ever. If you never played it, then definitely get it. If you have already played it and know it very well, it's probably a skip for you. Or if you really haven't played it in a long time, you want the itch, then get it. Maybe get it on sale. But I was fine paying $40. I was happy. So I got my money's worth. Multiplayer is still good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that concludes our show. So next week, it's gonna be very loaded with more game impressions. Uh, Hopefully we don't get some random showcase again. But you never know because I know the Nintendo Direct is somewhere. It's coming up some point. So we'll see. Because next time we'll be talking, it'll be next month. So there is a rumor about Nintendo Direct coming up. So hopefully it doesn't just randomly show up this week. Because this week I want to dedicate our time to Metal Gear Solid Delta, which I am like halfway through, and we're also Lost Soul Inside. Dory is having a great time playing it, and
Yeah, no, I'm just loving my life. 10 hours in, it's
yeah,
awesome. Can't wait to tell everybody about it next week.
and yes, and I want to talk about Kirby and the Nightling as well. So we have a loaded show of game impressions, and then it's gonna be even more loaded after that because we've got all these games coming out as we talked about before.
Yep, Hell is Us, Chronos,
Yep.
whatever else.
Yes. So, well, all right. Happy gaming season, everybody. I hope everybody has a great 3-day weekend. If you're in the U.S., happy Labor Day, and enjoy yourselves. Have to play some games, have fun, relax. I know I know I need that. I had a long week. It was like a week of hell, and
Yeah.
this weekend is a blessing because we're doing testing on Tuesday. So great. I have a whole story to tell you about that, but we won't do that here.
Okay.
We won't do that here. So have a good night, Dory. Take care. And peace,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.